Question 23 is a translation question. Translate shape A by the vector -3, 2. Now, in order to do this, you need to know that translate means move, so we are sliding this shape somewhere around on this grid, and these are the instructions to tell us how far to move it. Now, the top part tells us about the horizontal movement, and there's a -3, so we've got to move this 3 squares to the left. And then the second part, the bottom part, tells us about the vertical movement, and this 2 tells us we've got to move it 2 squares up. So we're going to move it 2 squares up, so it's going to end up there. Now, I've taken that corner there, and I've moved it 3 squares to the left and moved it 2 squares up. The rest of the shape has to come with it, so I'm looking at where that is. That's 2 squares further on, so that's going to go 3 to the left and 2 up, so that's going to go to there, which means the base of the new shape is there. And then I'm going to use the same idea to work out the rest of the shape. To get from there to there, I go 1 square to the right and 3 squares up. So starting here, move 1 to the right and 3 squares up. That's going to go there. And you can see the shape taking shape, if you'll pardon the pun. That is going to go to there. And the important thing about a translation is the new shape should look exactly the same as the old shape. So as we started with a parallelogram there, we end up with the same shape and the same size, and all we've done is move the whole thing 3 squares to the left and 2 squares up. If you have tracing paper, you could check this by tracing that shape and then sliding the shape 3 to the right and 2 up, and it should fit exactly over the top. But if you haven't, then this method is an alternative. Okay, the next part of the question gives us a shape that's been moved. It's gone from Q to R, and the question says, describe fully the single transformation that maps shape Q onto shape R. So the key word here is single transformation, and it's not an enlargement because it's the same size. It's not a translation like the previous question because you can't slide that onto there. It doesn't really look like a reflection because there's no real sort of mirror line that you could sort of put here. So the only one left is a rotation, so I'm going to go for a rotation. And there are 3 marks for this, and if I put down rotation, then I've only got 1 mark because we need to say how much of a rotation and also where is the centre of rotation. And that's where the tracing paper comes in, because I'm going to trace shape Q, and then I'm going to see if I can work out where the centre of rotation is. And I'm going to make a guess that the centre of rotation is about O, because that's always a good guess to make. So I'm going to keep the pencil on O and move this around, and oh look, it matches almost exactly. So that's encouraging. So that means it must have been a rotation and about the centre. And the only other thing to do is to say how much of a rotation, and you can clearly see that it's just a quarter turn anti-clockwise, so we need to write this down. Rotation 90 degrees anti-clockwise, and the centre of rotation is the origin. And there are the 3 marks, 1 for the rotation, 1 for the amount of rotation, and 1 for saying where the centre is.